Okay, so if at all you want to isolate these organisms in the laboratory and grow them in your own laboratory, then you can make prepare media. Yeah, I think Aishwarya was telling us some name of a medium. What is that DHA you were talking about?
Sir, it was dihydroxyacetone media.
Okay.
Increasing the pH, yeah, decreasing the pH. These bacteria can grow on DHA, sir.
Why DHA? Acetone is an organic compound.
Yes, sir. Glucose. Actually, sir, I don't know perfectly, but my seniors, I just have seen my seniors doing this technique, so I did have replied.
Maybe I am not aware of about this. What I was expecting from you all is that since the organisms require sulfur compounds as the source of electron, we should be adding sulfur to the medium, isn't it? Okay, so we can add thiosulfate to the medium, we can add sulfur to the medium. Okay, so both these compounds can be oxidized by acidithiobacillus. Okay, there is another, there is a specific organism, acidithiobacillus thiooxidants. Okay, so thiooxidants means that this organism can only grow on sulfur compounds as the electron donor. Okay, so if we are growing this organism, then we have to put sulfur compounds like thiosulfate and sulfur in the medium. Okay, optimum pH for growth of these organisms is 4, and therefore these are acidophilic organisms. Okay, not just acid tolerant, but they are acidophilic organisms actually, right? So in fact, they cannot grow at an alkaline pH or neutral pH, right? Then some of these organisms can also use ion compounds as the source of electron. Okay, ferrous ion, for example, and an example of such an organism is acidithiobacillus ferrooxidans. Okay, ferrooxidans. Again, the optimum pH for this organism is pH 4. And if you want to grow these organisms in the laboratory, then you would add ferrous sulfate in your medium so that the ferrous can be oxidized by the organism. Okay, there is a third organism which is called acidithiobacillus acidophilus. Acidophilus. Okay, so this organism can be grown on a glucose medium. Okay, sulfur also is added to the medium to serve as the electron donor. Okay, and glucose can be added as a source of carbon for this organism. Okay, so this organism is in a way a heterotrophic organism. Okay, while thiobacillus acidithiobacillus thiooxidans and acidithiobacillus ferrooxidans, these organisms are autotrophic organisms, and therefore you don't have to add any glucose or any other organic compound in the medium. Okay, just remember that. Now, there may be some organisms which are, in addition to acidophilic nature, they are also thermotolerant, or they could be thermophilic bacteria also. Okay, so these organisms can be grown in the laboratory provided the temperature of the medium is increased. Okay, the growth temperature should be more. Okay, more than say 40 degrees or 50 degrees, or sometimes they can grow even at a higher temperature of say 70 or 80 degrees. Okay. Yes, then coming to sulfur compounds as the electron donors. Okay, essentially these compounds are reduced. Okay, only when they are reduced, they will be able to give the electrons. Okay, so what are these compounds? We have seen already that H2S, hydrogen sulfide, elemental sulfur, that is S0, and thiosulfate, H2O3, 2 minus, they can all serve as the electron donors. And whatever is that sulfur compound, ultimately that will be converted into sulfate. Okay, the final product of respiration is sulfate, that is SO4 2 minus. This is a highly oxidized form of sulfate. Okay, so this cannot be further used up as an electron donor. The total number of electrons which are generated in the process, that is between hydrogen sulfide to sulfate. Okay, a total of 8 electrons are involved. Okay, so 8 electrons are given away by the H2S molecule, and we get sulfate in the process, and the organism can derive ATP. Okay, of course, this oxidation of H2S can happen in different stages. The first stage is the formation of elemental sulfur. So if it is, for example, thiosulfate or H2S, then initially these are converted to sulfur. Okay, And further, in the next step, the sulfur is converted to sulfate by the membrane bound or periplasmic proteins. Okay, so just remember that this is a two-stage process: hydrogen sulfide to sulfur, or thiosulfate to sulfur, and from sulfur to sulfate. Okay, so these are the two steps of sulfur reduction, that is the reduction of sulfur compounds. Then when sulfur oxidation is taking place, electrons are being transferred. In the process, the protons are also liberated. Okay, and because of the proton accumulation of protons, the pH of the medium becomes lower. Okay, the medium gets acidified. These protons are actually released outside the cell. Okay, so the medium gets acidified, and in fact, sulfuric acid. Now you can just go through this reaction here. H0 plus 3 by 2 oxygen. 3 by 2 oxygen actually means one atom of oxygen. Okay, and H2O will give H2SO4. So H2SO4 is produced by Acidithiobacillus thioxidans. Okay, and therefore the pH of the medium goes to even less than 3, and the organism can survive well in that particular pH. Okay, then another thing is, because the energetics of this particular reaction is such that a very large amount of energy is not produced in this particular electron transport. Small amount of energy is produced. Okay, and that too, this energy must be again utilized for CO2 fixation. So whatever energy in the form of ATP is made, whatever less amount of energy is made, out of that energy, ATP also is required to be used for CO2 fixation. Okay, and therefore these organisms have to consume a large amount of H2S. Okay, they have to consume a large amount of iron compounds, for example. They have to consume a large amount of sulfur compounds, for example. Okay, and because of that, a very large amount of acid is produced. Okay, in fact, the growth of these organisms is very slow, very poor. I don't remember it right now, but you can say the doubling time of these organisms is a few hours. Okay, few hours. What is the doubling time of E. coli?
19 minutes.
How many? 19.
19,
19
19 minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
If I take that as the right answer, the doubling time of E. coli is 18 to 19 minutes. Okay, and at the end of 24 hours, we get a large amount of bacterial cells in the form of colonies in the medium, isn't it? Or if it is a liquid medium, then the OD of that medium goes to, say, about one OD, isn't it? Or even more than one. Is it correct what I'm saying? Okay, the growth of E. coli cell comparatively is very fast. But if you compare that with these organisms, Thiobacillus, Acidithiobacillus, then the doubling time of these organisms is a few hours. Okay, it could be 5 hours or 6 hours or even more than that. If that is the case, then amount of bacterial cells that you will get, even if you grow the organisms for 10 days or 15 days or 1 month, the amount of biomass which you will get is a very small amount of biomass. Okay, just remember that. But even if you are getting a small amount of biomass, the amount of minerals that these organisms are oxidizing, okay, that amount is very large, right? So large amount of iron compounds or sulfur compounds or H2S must be metabolized, must be used by the organisms to generate small amount of energy and small amount of biomass, right? So this is something which is not written on the slide. Okay, but since I'm going to give you the video clip as well, so I think there should be no problem for you to again go through the video and listen to what I had said. Okay. Okay, so H2S may be oxidized by both aerobic and anaerobic bacteria, as I already told you. For aerobic organisms, oxygen is the electron acceptor, terminal electron acceptor. For anaerobic organisms, nitrate or sulfite could be the electron acceptor. There is an organism called Acidithiobacillus thioparus. Okay, and Acidithiobacillus thioxidans. they can oxidize the soluble sulfide all the way to sulfate. Okay, so from sulfur to sulfate that can be made. And there are some organisms like purple sulfur bacteria and green sulfur bacteria. We have already studied these organisms. They belong to the families Chromaceaceae and Chlorobiaceae respectively. Okay, so in these organisms, sulfur cannot be further metabolized. Okay, and therefore sulfur is deposited, elemental sulfur in the form of, in fact, sulfur powder is generated, and that is deposited either inside the cells, or that is generated, or that is deposited outside the cells. Okay, so purple bacteria deposit the sulfur inside the cells, and green bacteria, green sulfur bacteria deposit sulfur outside the cells. Okay, then there is one organism called Acidithiobacillus denitrificans. Okay, denitrificans, just remember this word. These organisms can oxidize sulfur. Okay, they can oxidize sulfite, they can oxidize thiosulfate also. Okay, but they cannot use oxygen as the electron acceptor, but they use nitrate as the final electron acceptor, terminal electron acceptor. Okay, and that is why this organism is named as denitrificans. Okay, nitrate as the electron acceptor. They can carry out denitrification process, that is nitrate is converted ultimately into volatile nitrogen. Okay, then these are the three steps of sulfur oxidation. The starting substrate, it could be either sulfide or thiosulfate or sulfur. Okay, this is first converted to sulfite, SO3 2 minus. Okay, and for this 6 electrons are released, and in the next step sulfite is oxidized to sulfate. So here 2 electrons are involved, 2 electron transfer. Okay, so H2S to sulfite. Okay, and then sulfite to sulfate. So these are the steps. In the second step, that is for the oxidation of sulfite to sulfate, there are actually 2 processes which are involved, right? That is, some organisms can oxidize the sulfate. They can transfer the electrons from sulfite directly to cytochrome C. Okay, and in the process ATP is made. And in some other organisms, they first oxidize the sulfite to sulfate, okay, via the reversal of adenosine phosphosulfate reductase enzyme. I think in sulfate reducing bacteria, we have already seen earlier that since the sulfate cannot be directly utilized, it requires some activation, and that is done by the involvement of ATP molecule. ATP transfers a phosphate group to sulfate, and that results in the formation of adenosine phosphosulfate molecule. And this adenosine phosphosulfate is then acted upon by the enzyme phosphosulfate reductase. Okay, so here the enzyme is doing the reverse process. In the reverse process, adenosine phosphosulfate is cleaved by the reductase enzyme, and that results in the formation of one ADP molecule and one AMP molecule. Okay, and then this sulfate is actually used up. Okay, this sulfate is generated from sulfite, right? So instead of sulfate being converted to adenosine phosphosulfate, okay, sulfite is converted to sulfate by the action of adenosine phosphosulfate reductase, right? Okay, then sometimes thiosulfate is also used as the electron donor. So in that case, thiosulfate is first converted into sulfur and sulfite. Okay, thiosulfate breaks up into sulfur, elemental sulfur, and sulfite. And then this sulfite and the sulfur which is formed, they are both oxidized to sulfate. Okay, so these are different schemes in different bacteria. In fact, what we are studying here is a very small part of the various types of different reactions. Different organisms are able to carry out different kinds of metabolic reactions. Okay, so but for the examination point, from the examination point of view, we are trying to understand only the few very important kinds of reactions. Okay, that is to say, we have a very huge kind of diversity in the microorganisms. Diverse organisms can carry out different kinds of metabolic activities. Okay, then coming to the energy yield from sulfur oxidation, the reduced sulfur compounds, they actually enter the electron transport chain at the flavoprotein level. So the electrode potential is minus 0.2, and that is why these compounds can donate the electron. Okay, and the electrons go to cytochrome. The cytochrome, for a cytochrome, the standard electrode potential is plus 0.3, and that is why cytochrome C can accept the electron from these sulfur compounds. Okay, and then the electrons finally go to oxygen, and in the process they generate proton motive force, and proton motive force is eventually responsible for ATP synthesis by the enzyme ATPase. Okay, for autotrophic CO2 fixation, of course, there should be reverse electron flow, because NADH cannot be reduced directly by the electron donors. Okay, so here we have seen for the ATP can be generated here, but reducing power cannot be generated directly, and therefore reverse electron flow is necessary. And for this electron flow, whatever ATP was generated in the electron transport chain, out of that some ATP is utilized for the CO2 fixation. Okay, so this is something very important about these organisms. Then we have one unique example where there is one organism called Paracoccus pantotrophus. Okay, so this organism does not form sulfite from sulfur compounds, but it can directly convert the sulfur compounds into sulfate. So this is just for your knowledge. Okay, I don't think that this is very important for any kind of examination purpose. Okay. Okay, so with that, I think it's already 12 o'clock. Okay, and the time for my lecture is over. In tomorrow's lecture, we shall go for another kind of organisms which can oxidize iron compounds. Okay, so today we are not going to see that. We shall stop the lecture. If you have any query, any question, any difficulty, you can ask me. Just to remind you of one more thing, that I have scheduled the examination. The second internal test